All right, we are back. Episode number 4 of season 3 of the Droppin Knowledge podcast on our new home, the Droppin Knowledge Network. This is your host, Knowledge Beckham. That's a lot of knowledges really quickly there. But we have a great podcast and great episode in store with you. I've seen this lady for quite some time here in the Chicagoland area, making moves every time you see her. She is doing big things, and she has a recent project that we're going to talk about and jump into, as well as just talk about her and her love for real estate and where that all came from. So I want to welcome you to the podcast. Donna, how's it going this evening?
I am wonderful, Knowledge. How are you?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you carving out some time. Such a busy young lady. I'm seeing
Absolutely.
I'm seeing this Who Got the Keys book all over my timeline and all over Chicago. And so before we jump into the actual book, I want to get to know you a little bit better. So tell our audience about Miss Donna Rogers.
Absolutely. But first, thank you so much for this opportunity, Knowledge. Yes, as he said, we go way back with some years with some non-for-profit. And so I'm just thankful that we're able to collaborate and connect again on the for-profit side. So yes, good evening, everyone. I am Donna Rogers. I am an author. I am an instructor. But most importantly, I am a lover of all things real estate. And so I have a desire and passion to empower others through real estate and education. I believe they go hand in hand, so I can ensure that people make well-informed decisions about the biggest financial commitment that you will make in your life. And so whether that is as an instructor, whether that is as an investor, I have over 15 years of an experience. I manage properties at 30 different locations, as well as own properties with the fam and individually on my own as well. And I am also the owner of the real estate brokerage called Our Legacy Realty. So all things real estate. Yes.
Hey, Donna, when are you gonna get busy, man? You got, I'm saying you're not doing enough out here. So you just dropped a lot on us. So we'll dive into each of them. If you're checking this out, be sure to tag a friend, tag someone who's involved in real estate, tag someone who's thinking about and getting involved in real estate, investors, whatever it may be. I'm sure you're going to take a number of nuggets from our conversation today. Also, be sure that you follow the Droppin Knowledge Network on Facebook. You can also follow under the same name on Instagram, the Droppin Knowledge Network, as well as hit up and subscribe to our YouTube page at the Droppin Knowledge Podcast /network. So, Donna, you talked about all of the things that you're involved in. You're involved in real estate and a number of different pillars, a number of different layers. Where did it all start? Are you a first generation real estate person? Did your parents, did your family, did they introduce you to real estate? Where did it start?
That's a great question, and I'm glad you asked. So I am the seed of Donna. I'm a junior, so Donna Senior and John Rogers. As a teen, I was exposed to real estate, right? My very first job was painting apartments with my dad of buildings that he owned to get them ready for his tenants. And so that was the job that my siblings and I was given. He was the boss man. And so not that I love to do the dirty work, but I will when I have to. But what it did was it put an impression. It set a mindset, an ownership mindset in me at a very young age because of what I saw. And so straight out of college, before I was finished with college, I started looking for my first investment property, right? I didn't know what I wanted to do full-time career-wise, but I always knew that I will own some investment real estate. So I wasn't even looking for my first property, my first home, rather, or where I would live. I said, hey, when I get this age, when I'm getting close to graduating out of college, I'm going to buy me an investment property. And that is what I did. But again, it was based off strictly what I saw from my parents and the property that they own. When I would see tenants come to them about different issues, or even when it came down to collecting the rent, my dad exposed us to a lot. He didn't say do this. He just showed us what to do. And then we learned to do it ourselves and become just as successful. So yes, it started from my parents. And I am a product and a result of what they invested and sold into my life.
That's amazing. Like, I feel like that's the dopest thing. Parents can do a lot of dope things, but when they teach you how to go fish and how to hunt and kind of be able to operate out, you're always in a system, but kind of outside of the system, or at least that corporate system. I just think that that's super duper powerful. So I'm going to take it a step back. So your parents introduced you to it. Do you know, because I don't know, I'm assuming this is the 80s or the 70s that they're involved in real estate. Do you have any idea what actually, outside of buying a home for themselves, do you know what got them involved in real estate, or why that they saw that real estate was like this key to building wealth and legacy?
I do. So I am one of 8. And so it started years before me, right? I'm number 5. So they already had it going on before I came along, right? I just was added to that process. So I do know that my father, his great uncle, well, my great uncle, his uncle, Sonny Grant, he was a well-known real estate attorney back in the day. And so he had my father manage a lot of his real estate for him. And my father, who was a man of integrity, he did so well with it. And he's also a handyman. So he's pretty handy with his hands as well. But he did so well that my uncle put him on and gave him one of his properties to get him started. So as my father got a taste of what that felt like to go from a property manager to an actual owner, then sky's the limit. He hit the ground running, and he's been investing ever since then. And then he exposed us. And so my dad hasn't given us anything as far as tangible, but he gave us something so much more valuable. And that was teaching us how to go fish and get it ourselves, as you mentioned earlier. So yes, that's so much more valuable. I mean, it's 8 of us, right? So that's a lot of kids to split it up with. Right. But all of us own property, are involved in real estate in some form, shape, or fashion. It is a known thing that regardless of what your career field is, I have siblings that are counselors, event planners, HR reps. We all know to invest in real estate on the side, because my dad was not just an investor. He worked for Cook County Juvenile Detention Center from 9 to 5 and did real estate on the side.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's Black excellence, right? That's, you guys are doing some amazing things as a family unit. So you talked about your plan, right? As you were coming out of college and you knew you wanted to buy a property. Did that come to fruition right away, or did it take a while before you got into that first investment property?
I remember this like this was yesterday. See, I'm not that old, but I remember this like this was yesterday. It took me over a year to find my first investment property. I remember getting so discouraged. And it took my dad to say one thing to me and say, it's just a stepping stone, because I guess I was being too picky. It had to be perfect. And, right. I know now there's no such thing as a perfect home, right? Just a perfect investment for you. But it took me over a year. I remember going through 3 different real estate agents at that time, but I finally found my first property. I started looking at 21. I closed on the property by the time I turned 22.
Wow. What was that? What, 2-unit, 3-unit, single family?
No, it was a 2-unit, and it was in Roseland. So I'm born and raised south side of Chicago. South side? Okay. So it was in a Roseland community, not too far from the church. So it was a great location at that particular time for that first property that I invested in. Yes.
So what took you, because you mentioned some of your other siblings, right? They dibble and dabble and do a little real estate on the side. But in your opening, you talked about you're all in, right? You're managing properties, investor, broker, real. What made you go all in 100%? This is what you're going to do.
I think it's just based off your calling. I'm a spiritual woman. I believe in doing things that are purposeful. And so in seeking what is my purpose, it was real estate that came to mind. Before that, I thought I was going to be a computer engineer. I thought I was going to be an elementary school teacher, all these different things, HR, I dibbled and dabbled until you kind of find your way. And I just remember, just to be transparent, I was at a place of brokenness where I lost everything at one point, right? Everything, because I was exposed to real estate, but I did not have a lot of financial literacy. So I just remember at that stage of my life, losing everything. And when you lose everything, there's some desperation that comes, right? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to be doing? And it was in that season of my life that I was led to go into real estate full time. And then about a year or 2 in, going in as an agent, because I was an investor for about 10 plus years before I even became an agent, right? Before I even taught it. I was teaching business classes, but not real estate. So it was at the breaking point of that season of my life when I was seeking purpose that I believe, and now I can see that I was right with confirmation that, hey, this is what you're supposed to be doing full time. But now I'm able to do it on a better scale because I learned from some of my mistakes from before.
Wow, I love that transparency. I have not that story, but a similar story. But a lot of people who get involved in real estate specifically, it can be, it can be some pitfalls, and you get started. I remember I bought a couple of properties in like '03. I bought like 4 properties, right? I'm moving fast.
Okay.
And bought a property. And at that time, you could close with binders, right? So I closed on 2 investment properties, a little insurance binder that only gives you insurance basically for the closing, right? 10 days. I didn't know you had to go out and actually get an actual policy. Never did. Long
Okay.
short, pipes broke in, smoking in my cribs, 2 separate cribs, both burned up. I didn't have any insurance.
Wow.
It got me into actually rehabbing because I had 2 properties that weren't worth the loan amount. And so we all have those stories, but it's about maintaining, learning from them, and leveling up. So you take it in a step further, right? And so obviously you sell real estate, you manage other realtors, but I'm looking behind you and I see something that says "Who got the keys?" And I want to know about who got the keys, because again, I'm seeing so much about that. I know you just had an amazing event with Kyle Santillian from WGC.
Hey, Kyle.
Yeah, that's my man. Talk about who got the keys. What is that about? What was the inspiration behind putting that project together?
Absolutely, you all. This is my new baby, Who Got the Keys? My new book. This is a real estate book for teens. And so the goal of this book is to expose and empower today's Black teens to become homeowners and investors. And so in starting off this book, it was for teens because I wanted to share my story of how my father exposed and educated and empowered me, right? At a young age. It gave me a head start amongst my peers. I thought that was the norm, especially within the Black community, until I realized that it's not. And so I seen a need that, hey, then I need to do my part by exposing other teens so they can get a head start as well. Because most of the classes that I would do, I would see individuals that are 40 plus. And I'm not coming at it at any age when you get started. It's never too late, but it's never too early either, right? But in the midst of putting this book together, knowledge, and I was doing research on the statistics of Black home ownership and the race, Black wealth.
Yep.
We were at the bottom of every statistic that was positive. So when it came to home ownership, when it came to ownership before the age of 35, when it came to the rate of Black wealth, we were at the bottom. And that's a problem because home ownership is a key to building wealth. And so I said, from my judgment, I have to be intentional about writing this book for us, for our young people, so we can help increase the number of Blacks that own homes, so we can help increase the number of Blacks that build wealth through real estate. And so that is the mission of this book. It has some really good information in it. We break down every aspect of home ownership, how to get started, even steps that you can get started as a teen, even steps to help parents expose their young person as a teen. Because again, you're never too old, but you are never too young to get started in real estate either.
I love it. I love it. For those that are listening to this through Spotify, Apple, or our podcast platform, I'm sharing on the screen right now where you can actually pick this book up. So you can pick up Who Got the Keys on Amazon.com. So go there and grab it. You can also go to Donna's website, which is www.whogotthekeys.com. So go ahead and not only support, sometimes you say, hey, go support this, go support that. You need to purchase this to get that information, right? In many cases, I'm assuming probably you're going to take something from it. But then definitely if you have a kid, a cousin, any young people around you, want to get into their hands, because I couldn't agree more that still the number one way for the average American to build wealth is through real estate, right? And so inside of the book, Donna, you kind of talked about what's in there. But if I'm buying this for my young cousin, my daughter, my son, whatever it may be, is this your story? Is this more about I'm going to educate you? Is this more about helping you to draw out a game plan so that you're a homeowner by 25? What specifically is in here that people can look forward to when purchasing the book?
Great question. So it's all those things and more, right? So it starts off with my story and my why. Why am I writing this, right? Which we just discussed. But I am so passionate and all about empowering and educating other people when it comes to home ownership. And so we have chapters. Our first chapter, we talk about keeping it real about building wealth in real estate 101. See, we have the next chapter where we educate and teach our young people that Black home ownership matters. So we talk about real estate and race. We have another chapter where we talk about buying up the block, real estate investing 101. My niece's favorite chapter, and shout out to my niece Mia, she's a teen that helped me put this book together. Her favorite chapter is act like a teen, think like a boss. And so I'm teaching teenagers next level skill sets and boss behavior characteristics, right? So I don't just want you to learn how to make money. I want you to learn how to treat people, have good customer service skills, know how to encourage others, self-care, all of those different things. So you can not only get this property, but you can maintain this property and have open doors of opportunity because of your good character, right? The other thing that is a part of my book is we talk about the different careers in real estate, which is the thing that I love most about the real estate industry. So it is the one industry where you can make unlimited and multiple streams of income because of the different career fields. Knowledge, I generate 6 different streams of income all through real estate. 6 different streams of income all through real estate. And so I expose our young people about the different careers because I don't remember seeing a real estate agent at my career day at school at all, right? And so we expose our young people to the various career fields that are in real estate. And then most importantly, we talk about having an ownership mindset. I talk about how to put together a business plan with our young people, but we end it with something that's powerful, and that's called use your key. And so when use your key, I am providing practical skills for our young people to get started now. And so that's the book. It's my story, but it's to help our young people become their story so we all can make an impact together and build wealth in real estate.
Wow, that sounds like an amazing book. I need to comb through it myself, right? It's well put together, well thought out. So who got the key? She's holding up that book. Again, if you're listening to this or watching the replay, go ahead and check her out. I think that's amazing. And we definitely need to dive and drive into home ownership in a huge way because we're getting left behind. Every 10-year period, every decade, it seems like we're falling further and further behind. You talked about the different individuals, the different roles in real estate. And I know you're a realtor as well. What makes it's one of those spaces that I'm sure every individual knows at least 3 real estate agents, right? If not more. So it's just a number of agents out here selling homes. What makes a good realtor? So someone that's listening to this and maybe they haven't bought that home or purchased that home and they have a friend who does real estate, and your tendency is to just support the friend. But at the end of the day, you talked about this is the biggest investment that most people make. And so, yeah, you want to support someone, but you want to make sure that you're getting a high quality, a high level of service. So from someone that's a 15-year veteran in this business, and even before, if you think about the attachment to your parents, what makes a good realtor?
For me, character. When it comes to integrity, a person that you can truly trust, and you kind of get vibes with people, right? You want a realtor that puts your needs first. I spoke with a client the other day, and she is a CPS school teacher. And she said, hey, there's a program for teachers. And we were talking about it. And she said, but if I go into this program, it's going to take 20% of your commission. Is that okay with you? I said, absolutely. You put your needs first, and you let me put your needs first, and let me worry about my commission. Not saying that I don't get paid. Business 101, right? You got to make a profit. But if it's to the benefit of my client for me to service her at the highest level of excellence, then that's what I'm willing to do, right? And so we
Right.
talk about character and integrity, but also it's important that you have an agent that is willing to educate you about the process. So even though clients may say, hey, Donna, what do you think about this? Instead of me just giving you the answers, my dad didn't just give me the answers. He taught me how to fish for myself. I'm not just going to give you the answers. I'm going to explain it to you so you have an understanding of why we came to that conclusion for you to make the best decision for yourself. So you want someone who is well informed so they can keep you well informed. And you want someone who puts your needs first, because that is every agent's fiduciary responsibility. And that is to put the needs of the clients before your own best interests.
Well,
That is very key.
absolutely. Well said. Thank you for that. So you talked about how you're generating 6 streams of income from real estate. Walk us through, if you don't mind, those 6 ways that you're tapping into income all out of a single industry.
Yes. So as a real estate agent, right? So I'm a broker.
Okay.
Then you get paid as a managing broker.
You know what? Let's
Then you get paid as a,
you know what, if you
say
don't
it
mind,
again.
I said, if you don't mind, breaking each one down as well, right? Let's not assume that folks know these terms and what they actually mean. So if you don't mind giving us a brief description of each as well and what that actually means, that would be helpful.
I like that. That's the educator in you. Absolutely, you all. So you have a real estate agent that is normally the person that's taking you out to buy, sell, or rent residential or commercial property, right? So I'm a real estate agent. I am also a managing broker. So a managing broker manages other real estate agents. They supervise them, train them so they can operate at their highest level. Okay. But then you have a sponsoring broker. The sponsoring broker is who owns that real estate company. So all agents and all managing agents must be sponsored, and they must work under a sponsoring broker. I am the owner of Our Legacy Brokerage, which is a sponsoring broker. Okay. So that's number 3. I'm trying to make sure I keep up with the count. But I started as an investor. So I'm also a real estate investor. You do not need a license to invest in real estate. I've done flips. I've done buy and holds. We are currently doing 5 flip projects at the same time currently, my family and I, right? We have our meetings every Monday. We drive around to the different properties. And so I do the rehabs, the rentals. I manage everything with the family business, right? And so that's another aspect as an investor. But I'm also a property manager. And so I manage property for other people at 30 different locations as well. So I have a property management team. In addition to that, I am a licensed real estate professor. So I am an adjunct business professor at Chicago State University. But outside of that, I am a licensed real estate instructor. I'm sorry. What does that mean? In order to teach classes where you could get a real estate license, you have to have a license to teach that class. So not just any agent can come along and teach that class. There are certain classes that are towards licensing in which the instructor requires a license. I have that license to teach any and all classes. And then newly, I am the author of the real estate book, Who Got the Keys? And so that's another stream of income through real estate. So I think I'm at 7 now. So those are my different streams of income through real estate. So we just had a little mini class from chapter 5 of my book.
Wow, that's dope. You're not playing. You're not playing. That is awesome. So I'm sure we have a number of people. I told you prior to coming on live here that I just left my property and I'm getting back into building out my real estate portfolio. For anyone that's listening that is currently maybe a new investor, maybe they're an investor that is, or they're thinking about getting into investing in real estate, give us kind of the hard and fast rules, the top 3 rules of Donna when it comes to real estate investing that one should kind of have top of mind when getting ready to venture into this space.
I write my goals out first. I write my goals out, and your goals can change at any stage and season in life, right? I had certain goals, but when a pandemic hit, it changed. I had properties that we were going to hold, but when the pandemic hit and the property value started appreciating, we said, oh, we about to sell this property. Or we're going to refinance this property so we can get more cash to go invest in more property. So it just depends, but you have to be flexible, right? That's business 101. You have to be flexible to what's going on in the economy so you can still stay afloat, actually exceed what's going on in a particular industry that you work in. So I always write my goals down first, because I want to make sure that whatever I'm doing, that it lines up with what my goals and my mission is. I don't move from that. And so I will have people come to me and offer certain deals, and I'll look at my goal and say, that don't line up with what I'm trying to do for this season of my life. So I think goals are very important, because it helps you to stay focused on what it is that you are trying to do. It has to make sense. If it don't make money, it don't make sense, right? I have a charity, so we do charity work with my dad, and we provide scholarships for teens 18 and 19 who want to get in. We do charity with homeless youth, but this is not charity, right? And so it has to make sense financially, right? And so we have certain standards. You know, when we look at certain cap rates, they have to be a minimum of 8% for us, unless it's in an amazing location in which it would be more profitable at a later stage. So it has to make sense. So we do our financial analysis to make sure that it makes sense for us to make that investment. And sometimes we invest in things with the understanding that we may not see it right away. We may see our return in 5 years, right? And I learned a lot from my uncle. Let me say this. My dad is a real estate investor. He exposed all of us, but his younger brother is a well-known business professor. His name is Stephen Rogers. He just retired from Harvard University, right? So he has students, celebrity students. When you hear celebrities take those business classes, he was one of very few Black professors. So that's my business partner, right? So it's not just me. I'm learning from him as well. That's why education and real estate go hand in hand for me, right? It's a family thing. And so thirdly, which should have been, I always have to continue to educate myself. I like to say, be a student of the industry. You have never arrived. Again, that goes back to the industry is always changing. The economy is always changing. And so if it's something new, a new venture, an area that I have not tapped into, if I have not sat down and educated myself, it ain't my season. I'm not ready. Okay. I am a risk taker, but I try to minimize my risk as much as possible with the goal setting. But I am big on educating myself so I can reduce the level of risk as much as possible to make as much profits as possible. Because again, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
Makes sense. I hear you. That's boss talk. Thank you for that. So any of you investors or folks that are thinking about investing, Donna kind of basically told you got to go get your education up, write your goals down, right? Figure out where you want to go. And then you should, if you have these types of people in your network, you need to reach out to the Donnas of the world, because they can keep you from making some mistakes that most people are going to make when they're doing real estate. So when you talk about the Who Got the Keys book, it's targeted for teens. Are there plans to do kind of classes as a follow-up? What's the follow-up to Who Got the Keys?
Oh, you got some amazing questions tonight, Knowledge.
Thank you.
So absolutely there is follow-up. We are doing a book tour. So I'll be doing a lot of podcasts, radio interviews. But yes, there is a workbook. The workbook to Who Got the Keys will be released April 4th, my birthday weekend. The workbook will be released then, and I have already booked some classes and workshops for teens. So speaking of, I don't want to speak too soon, but I am a graduate of Kenwood Broncos represent, right? And so that's where I'm going to start. So Kenwood will be the first place that I'm going to start. We're going to do a series there for the seniors, actually all the years, but we're going to do something extra special for the seniors. So yes, if there is a high school or a youth organization that you would like my team and I to come in and do a real estate workshop, we are available. Just go to whogotthekeys.com. No, it's just that we'll be doing more in the high schools, a lot of public speaking, and we'll be doing real estate career day at schools. So I'll be calling on a lot of my colleagues to come and briefly speak and explain the duties, the responsibilities, and the qualifications for their field of real estate as well. But yes, we are going hard on this book tour, and we are going to be getting in front of as many young people as possible to give them these keys to real estate investing.
That is great. Are you a mother, Donna?
I'm not a biological mother. My season hasn't come yet. I'm a mother in love, with love.
Right. So I asked you that question because that's how I met you, right? I met you through a non-for-profit that you were running. Obviously, you got Who Got the Keys. You're passionate about real estate, but you're focusing on giving it to young folks. Talk about that a bit, just in terms of your drive, your passion to work with youth and kind of sometimes less fortunate people. Talk about where that comes from. And I think that's a good thing for the audience to hear about you, the person.
Absolutely. Something that most people don't know, I was a foster parent. I was a foster parent to 14 girls, started in my 20s. And if I could be honest, I don't really know where that came from, right? My parents are givers. I would see them help the less fortunate, but no one was like a foster parent or anything like that. So it was like, are you serious in your 20s? But I used to be like a community outreach worker. And the organization that I worked for, they had a component that was for foster parenting. And so it sparked my desire to be a foster parent for teens. So I have 14 girls in my 20s, in my late 20s, living in my home with me. So this thing for teens is not new.
Right.
I used to have I still do have a not-for-profit House of Prima Donnas where we provide resources and support for homeless young ladies, supporting homelessness. Shout out to Knowledge and Lil Rail. Every year they used to come out and do the Comedy for Cause charity event that we used to have. But that was for young ladies 18 to 24 that was facing homelessness. I had a transitional center. So my very first property that I used in Roseland, I used to give it away for free for 5 years to homeless young ladies. I used my first property. It wasn't even about a profit, right? And I gave away for free to teen girls, not teen girls, I have to say 18 to 24 because they had to be an adult to stay there. So it's been a passion in me to help young people, particularly when it comes to housing. And so this is just on the back end of things where now I'm trying to empower and educate them to become investors themselves.
Wow. That's you're quite the role model, quite the inspiration. That's why I love getting the opportunity to talk with folks like you, because I think it's so inspiring. It's not only educational, but it's inspiring. And so as we get ready to wrap, I want to kind of talk a little bit more about the book again. And so title is Who Got the Keys? How many chapters are in the book, Donna?
There are 7 chapters, but it's less than 70 pages, young people. So you can get right through this. There's some amazing artwork in here. Shout out to my designer. It's so much vital information in this book. When my niece got her copy, she said, "TT, I love this book." So it's very appealing. You will stay engaged. You will stay entertained. But most importantly, you will walk away empowered. So you can put your keys to use so you could become a homeowner and investor. And I'll even say this, when you order this book on my website, or you can order it through Amazon, there are some freebies, right? So there's some freebies for the parents as well, because I understand in order to change the mindset of a young person, you have to help change their environment as well. So I tend to do free generational wealth building, real estate investing one-on-one classes for adults. I do those on a monthly basis, but there are free ebooks. There's an ebook on teaching teens about money. There's an ebook on affirmations for generational wealth for the entire family. There's some keys about buying your first home or your first investment property. So I'm just giving away keys, and more keys. So this is just an investment that never stops, that never ends, to make an impact in the lives of our young people, our young Black people in particular.
That's right. You're definitely going to make some impact. We're definitely going to continue well after this We're going to continue to push this. I'm going to work with you to get a little 30-second spot or 60-second commercial that I can start to include in my podcast, so we can continue to kind of get the word out, as well as you may or may not know, but I also have a financial literacy and credit restoration business. And so I focus on credit. I walk the walk. I talked about those properties that I had way back when. And so I had some damaging things happen to my credit, and also a fairly educated young man didn't know about credit, right? Same way that many of us don't know about real estate. And now that I've learned, I want to tell everybody that I can, because it's up here. Like, once you got the education and knowledge, it's everything. So any opportunity to partner up with you, any way that you want to leverage me to talk about that small piece, I am completely down. And so this has been an amazing conversation. I want to just really congratulate you on all of the good work that you're doing. Really a great woman that since I've known you, you've been doing for others and trying to put on for others. And
thank you.
I think that's why you continue to see the blessings that you see, is that you're putting it out there and it's coming back to you. So anything else that you want to, I know we talked about the book, but anything else that you want to share with folks today?
I just really want to share. And first, let me just say, thank you so much, Knowledge. Thank you in more ways than others, you all. He helped me put on an amazing virtual launch last week. You can check those out on YouTube as well on my pages. So shout out to Kyle. Thank you for that. And I appreciate this opportunity, the other opportunities that you've helped me with, the non-for-profit, with the book. So just know that I am forever grateful for you opening doors and allowing me to have opportunities to promote what my agendas are. But I just want to encourage you all. It does not matter your situation, even when Knowledge just spoke about credit, right? Because one of the number one factors that stop a lot of people, particularly in our community, is fear. It's fear, right? Especially if you haven't been exposed to it, right? It's fear. Allow the professional to tell you what you need to do to walk you through it before you count yourself out. I hear a lot of people say, oh, my credit is too low. Oh, I don't have enough money. But if you just take the opportunity to call up Knowledge in regards to your credit, to call me up or my team in regards to real estate, allow us to help you put your goals together, right, so we can help you get some keys, right? So you can build your generational wealth. I've been there, done that. Even though I've been exposed to it, you got to press through the fear and become a student of the industry. Never stop learning. I am not an expert. I am an expert at being a student of the industry, right? Because things are always changing. So don't just educate yourselves, educate your entire household. I tell parents, allow your young person to be exposed to the process from A to Z. Don't just wait to show them, open up the door and say, surprise, this is our new home. That's nice. But show them the process. Okay, this is where mom's credit is and dad credit is. This is what we got to do to get it to this point. This is why we got to get it to this point. This is the goal and the mission statement of the family. Maybe they'll understand why they can't have X, Y, and Z, because we're saving up to build wealth long term. Have those conversations with your young people now. Expose them now so they can have a better understanding. When you have a property inspection, take your young person. They may be the next inspector, right? Inspectors make some nice chains as well, and they have their own businesses, right? So I just want us to take another step further for ourselves and for our families, so we can all be on one accord to build generational wealth together. So go to who.thekeys.com after all of that.
That's right. You are listening to Donna Rogers, the author of Who Got the Keys, the young lady who is getting 7 different streams of income off of real estate and the business of real estate. Make sure that you follow the Droppin Knowledge Network on Facebook, follow the Droppin Knowledge Network on Instagram, as well as on YouTube, to continue to support and tell a friend, right? We are here every week, episode after episode, with some amazing people that you don't know. You know, I was talking to someone recently, and one of the things that I've shifted to in the last X amount of years, and Donna talked about that for years, and I love my comics. I've done concerts. I've promoted the fun things. I'm all about promoting some of the folks that you don't know that are putting real work in out here. that is truly going to move the community, yourself, your families ahead. And Donna Rogers, as you can see, is a trailblazer in that particular space. So support Who Got the Keys. Grab it today. Learn, educate your people, educate your family. Thank you again, Donna, for spending time with me. And I will continue to support great people, and that's who you are. So thank you again.
Thank you for having me. God bless.
You got it. Peace.